Navarra Prime was a city full of lights, tall buildings, and flying cars. Every street was busy. Every corner had a screen showing news or ads. People walked fast. Robots rolled by. Everything moved like a machine, efficient, perfect, and cold. Darren Vale was one of the richest young men in the city. He was only 30, but he had built Vale Systems, a tech company that made robots, smart homes, and advanced AI. His face appeared in magazines and city billboards. Everyone called him a genius, but Darren didn't feel happy. His life was full of numbers, meetings, and machines, but no real people. One evening, after attending a robotics event, Darren stepped out of his private car in front of Vale Tower. The sky was dark. Cold rain poured down in sheets. His shoes splashed in a puddle as he walked toward the glass entrance. Just then, he stopped. Someone was sitting on the marble steps. It was a girl. She sat quietly, knees pulled to her chest, soaked by rain but not shivering. She wore a thin gray hoodie and torn pants. Her hair was wet and stuck to her face. She didn't hold a sign. She didn't beg. She just sat there, calm. The security drones flew toward her. Unauthorized presence. "You must move," one of the drones said. Darren raised his hand. "Wait." The drone stopped. He looked at her closely. She was young, maybe in her early 20s. Her face was soft, peaceful. Even with the rain dripping from her chin, she looked like someone out of place, like she didn't belong on the streets. "Are you all right?" Darren asked. She looked up slowly. Her eyes were dark brown and quiet. "I'm fine," she said softly. "You shouldn't be sitting here. This area is restricted." "I didn't mean to stay long," she replied. "Just needed a place out of the wind. Come inside." "Just for a bit. You'll catch a cold." She didn't move. "I'm not trying to force you," Darren added. "There's food, a warm place. That's all." She nodded once and stood up carefully. She didn't seem scared, just tired. Darren walked with her through the entrance, past curious guards and hovering bots. Inside the tall building, warm air and soft lights welcomed them. Darren led her to a side lounge quiet, with soft chairs and hot drinks. A small cleaning robot offered towels. She took one, dried her face, and sat down. "What's your name?" Darren asked as he poured 2 cups of tea. "Myra," she said. "I'm Darren." "I know," she said. "You own this tower." He raised an eyebrow. "Not many people recognize me in person." "You've been on the news screens," she replied. They drank in silence for a moment. Darren kept glancing at her. There was something strange about her. She looked young, but her eyes felt old, wise, as if she'd seen much more than someone her age should have. "Where are you from, Myra?" he asked gently. She looked down at her cup. "Nowhere important." "Family?" She shook her head. Darren didn't push further. He could see she wasn't ready to talk. "Would you like to stay the night?" he asked. "There's a spare room upstairs, safe and warm." Myra looked at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. The guest room on the 25th floor was small but clean, with soft lights and a window that showed the city skyline. Myra stood at the window for a long time before lying down on the bed. Darren, watching through the hallway camera, sighed. Something about her felt different. She didn't act like someone asking for help. She was too calm, too quiet. And there was that strange moment when she looked at the door panel earlier, and the locked room opened without her touching it. Maybe it was a coincidence. The next morning, Myra woke early and walked into Darren's home lab. He was already working on a robotic drone, wires spread across the desk. She stood near the wall and watched quietly. "Curious?" he asked. "Yes." He smiled and handed her a screwdriver. "Want to help?" She walked over, studied the half-built drone, and began adjusting wires. Her hands moved quickly. In just minutes, she found a fault Darren hadn't noticed. Then she reprogrammed its flight path. Darren stared. "Where did you learn that?" he asked. She shrugged. "Just makes sense." He laughed quietly. "You're not ordinary." "I never said I was," she replied. Over the next few days, Mira stayed in the guest room. She didn't ask for money or gifts. She ate little, spoke only when needed, and helped around the lab. Every time she worked with machines, Darren noticed something strange. She didn't just understand technology, she felt it. As if she and the machines spoke the same language. His staff grew curious. Some whispered that she was a hacker. Others said she was a genius in hiding. But Darren didn't care. He just felt happy for the first time in months. He started looking forward to seeing her each morning. He smiled more. He even took her to the rooftop garden one evening. They sat together, looking out at the stars. "You ever wonder what's out there?" he asked. "All the time," she said quietly. He looked at her, wondering again who she truly was. But he didn't ask. He didn't want to scare her away yet. Mira became part of Darren's daily life. She didn't talk much, but when she did, her words were thoughtful and calm. She moved quietly around his lab, her eyes always scanning machines, circuits, and wires as if she had built them herself. Darren's engineers, scientists, and assistants noticed her too. At first, they thought she was just a guest. But after a few days, they began watching her more closely. One morning, a technician named Leo struggled to fix a robotic arm that was used in space mining. The code was full of errors, and the machine kept twitching. Mira walked by, glanced at the screen and said, "Your feedback loop is reversed." Leo frowned. "What?" She stepped forward, tapped a few keys, and the arm stopped twitching. Then it moved smoothly, like it was alive. "How did you?" Leo asked. "It was obvious," Myra said, and walked away. Word spread quickly. Darren didn't stop her. In fact, he encouraged her. He let her work in the lab as much as she wanted. And each day, she surprised everyone. She didn't use manuals. She didn't look things up. She didn't even ask questions. But she fixed problems no one else could solve. Darren's head engineer, Kellen, pulled him aside one afternoon. "She's not just smart," he said. "She's something else. No one learns robotics like that without years of training." "I know," Darren replied. "Where did she study?" "She didn't," Darren said. "At least that's what she told me." Kellen gave him a look. "Then where did she come from?" Darren had no answer. One evening, Darren sat with Mira in the rooftop garden again. The stars above were bright, and the city lights below shimmered like a sea of fireflies. "I've never seen anyone like you," he said. She didn't respond. "You fix things without tools. You know codes better than my top engineers." "Who are you, really?" Mira looked at him, her expression unreadable. "I'm no one special," she said. "I don't believe that." "I never asked you to," Darren smiled. "That's fair." She turned to look at the stars. "Do you believe people can be forgotten? Like, completely erased?" He tilted his head. "What do you mean?" "Imagine someone lives, breathes, LEARNs, but no record of them exists. No ID, no birth certificate, no past." Darren looked at her carefully. "Is that you?" She didn't answer, but her silence said enough. That night, Darren asked his AI assistant to run a search on Mira. He didn't want to betray her trust, but curiosity was growing like a storm in his mind. The AI searched through government databases, hospital records, city logs, facial scans, everything. Result: no match found. Try deeper. Use satellite footage, DNA logs, thermal traces. Hours passed. Still nothing. It was like she had appeared out of thin air. The next morning, Mira helped fix a defense drone with strange code errors. She didn't just fix it, she improved it. The drone could now scan threats twice as fast. Everyone stared. "How did you even know what code it was using?" someone asked. Myra gave a soft smile. "Sometimes machines speak to me. You just have to listen." Darren stood at the back, watching her closely. She wasn't lying. That was the strange part. He could tell she truly believed what she said. That afternoon, he decided to give her access to one of his special projects, a secret. AI called Sentra, still in development. Are you sure? Kellen asked him. That system isn't finished. And she's the smartest person we've seen, Darren said. Let's see what she can do. In the glass lab, Mira sat in front of the black screen. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of machines. Darren watched through the side panel. Mira placed her fingers on the console and whispered, "Hello, Sentra." To his surprise, the AI responded, "Hello. Identity not recognized. Please confirm clearance level." "Override," Mira said gently. "Access level, prime." The screen blinked. Then the system opened. Darren's heart skipped. No one knew. That override command, he had never spoken it aloud. Only two people knew it, and the other was his late mentor. He stepped into the room. "Mira, how do you know that code?" She turned toward him slowly. "I don't know how. I just remembered it." "That's impossible." She looked confused. "I'm sorry." Darren didn't speak for a moment. Then he smiled. "You just saved me 5 months of debugging." She returned a small smile. "Glad I could help." That evening, Darren took her out of the tower for the first time. He arranged a quiet dinner in a sky restaurant, hovering above the clouds. There was soft music and stars all around. "You've changed my life," he said honestly. "I didn't expect to meet someone like you." Mira looked down at her glass. "Of water. I wasn't supposed to be here." "What do you mean?" "I was only passing through." "Through where?" She didn't answer. "Are you in trouble?" he asked. "No," she said. "At least not yet." Darren reached across the table. "You can trust me." She looked at his hand but didn't take it. "I believe you, Darren. But some things are bigger than trust." He didn't understand. But he nodded anyway. The next morning she was gone. Her room was empty. Her clothes, her tools, everything vanished. Security footage erased, door logs wiped. No trace of her anywhere. Darren stood in her empty room, heart pounding. It didn't make sense. "Run all building scans," he ordered. Nothing. He called the AI. No biometric trail found. No thermal traces. Subject Mira does not exist. He sat on the bed, confused, angry, and worried all at once. She had just disappeared, vanished like a shadow, like she had never been there. But he knew what he saw. She was real. She had changed everything. And now she was gone. Days passed, but Mira did not return. Darren Vale searched every floor of Vale Tower. He checked every hallway camera, every access door, even the underground labs. He called every guard, every staff member. No one had seen her leave. The cameras were blank. The time between 2 a.m. and 2:15. A .m was missing. It was like the system had blinked. And Mira had vanished with it. "Run another scan," Darren said to his AI assistant. The calm voice replied, "Mira's ID not found. No movement. Pattern detected. Exit not recorded." Darren leaned back in his chair, staring at the blank monitor. Someone erased her. He whispered. The next morning, Darren visited the city data center. He used his high-level pass to dig into public systems, bus logs, train scans, traffic. Drones. Nothing. No trace of Mira in the entire city. No fingerprints. No retinal scans. No public footage. No hospital entry. No shelter record. It was impossible. Every person in Navarra Prime left a digital trail, even if they tried to hide. But Mira left nothing. Darren sat in his office, looking out the large glass wall. The city stretched far and wide. Flying cars zipped through the sky. Lights blinked across towers, but none of it mattered. His mind kept returning to her smile, her soft voice, her strange knowledge. How she rewired robots with ease. How she opened locked systems without a code. She was an ordinary dot, and now she was gone. Why? Did she leave? He said aloud. The AI replied, unknown. The news picked up the story a week later. Tech millionaire brings unknown woman into lab. She vanishes mysteriously. Some called it a lie. Others said it was a setup. Rumors spread that Mira was a spy, a criminal, maybe even an AI in disguise. A reporter stood outside Vale Tower and shouted, "Mr. Vale, was she part of a secret project? Why can't you find her now?" Darren ignored them. He shut down the lab for a week. He sat in his home, watching old footage of Mira helping fix drones, walking through the hallway, looking at stars from the rooftop. It felt like watching a dream. Then something strange happened. At 2 a.m., exactly 1 week after she disappeared, Darren's personal terminal turned on by itself. The screen went black. A message appeared. She is not gone. She is hiding. Darren stood up. Who sent this? He asked the system. The message disappeared. Then a new line appeared. Trust the signal. Follow the source. Coordinates blinked. On the screen, Darren quickly traced them. It pointed to a deep part of the city. Zone 9. An old industrial sector now abandoned and closed off by the city guard. It was once used for underground tech labs, before being shut down for safety. Now, no one went there. Without telling anyone, Darren took his car and drove through the night. He passed security gates using his special clearance. He reached the dark edge of Zone 9. The buildings were old, broken, and covered in dust. Vines climbed the steel walls. Robots lay in pieces on the ground. He followed the signal deeper into the ruins. Then he found it, an old elevator door hidden behind metal beams. It looked dead, rusted. But when he touched the panel, it lit up. The screen said, "Welcome, Darren Vale." He stepped in. The elevator dropped fast, deep into the earth. After 2 minutes, it stopped. The door opened. What he saw made him freeze. It was a secret lab, far bigger than any underground facility he had ever seen. Machines lined the walls. Long glass tubes stood in rows, each one holding a person in sleep. They floated in blue liquid. Their bodies looked human, but something was different. Their skin shimmered slightly. Their eyes moved even though they were closed. Darren stepped forward. A soft light glowed in the center of the room. A single pod sat there. Inside it was Mira. She was asleep, her body still, eyes closed. Wires were connected to her arms and head. Her chest rose slowly, like she was in deep sleep. Darren placed his hand on the glass. "Mira, what is this?" Behind him, a voice spoke. "She's not one of us, not fully." Darren turned sharply. A man stood in the shadows. He wore a long coat, his face tired but calm. "Who are you?" Darren asked. "My name doesn't matter. I'm part of a group, Watchers. We protect Earth from things the world isn't ready for." Darren looked back at Mira. "She's one of them?" "She's more than that," the man said. "She was made with human DNA and something else. A blend from the stars. Her team was placed here years ago, hidden in sleep. But something went wrong. The others were attacked. She escaped." "Escaped?" "She didn't remember everything. Her memory was damaged. She wandered the city. That's how she found you." Darren's heart pounded. "Why didn't she tell me?" "Because she didn't know the full truth yet. But now, her memory is returning. Soon she will wake." Darren looked at her peaceful face. "She's not dangerous," he said. "No," the man replied. "She's a protector. One of the few who can stop what's coming." "What's coming?" The man didn't answer. He simply looked at Darren and said, "When she wakes up, everything will change." Then he walked away, disappearing into the dark halls of the lab. Darren stood there, his hand still on the glass. Mira wasn't a dream. She was real, and she was something far greater than he had ever imagined. Darren couldn't move. He stood in front of the glowing pod, staring at Mira through the glass. Her face was calm. Her eyes were closed. The blue light around her pulsed softly like a slow heartbeat. The silence in the underground lab was deep. Only the quiet hum of machines filled the air. She looked peaceful, but Darren's mind was full of questions. Who made her? Why was she hidden? What was she meant to do? He took a slow breath and touched the pod again. It was warm. Then a soft click echoed behind him. Darren turned quickly. A large screen on the wall lit up. Subject Mira. Recovery process complete. Awakening sequence initiated. His heart skipped a beat. The blue liquid in the pod began to drain. Wires pulled back. Lights blinked faster. Then, slowly, Mira opened her eyes. She looked straight at him. At first, she didn't speak. She just stared, breathing softly, her hands pressed against the inside of the pod. Darren reached out. "Myra, it's me, Darren." Her lips parted slightly. She blinked. "You came," she said. "Of course I did," he replied. "You disappeared. I searched everywhere." "I had to leave," she whispered. "They were tracking me." "Who?" She stepped out of the pod. Her clothes were different now, smooth, silver-like fabric that shimmered faintly. She moved gracefully, like someone who had trained for years. "The ones who broke the first gate," she said. Darren frowned. "I don't understand." Mira looked around the lab. "There were 12 of us. We were hidden in sleep beneath different cities, placed here by the old Alliance. We were created to protect Earth if the Silent Ones returned." "Silent Ones?" "There. Not loud, not like humans. They move quietly. Through systems, through signals. You don't see them until they've already changed everything." Darren's voice was quiet. "Are they here?" Mira nodded. "They arrived months ago. Not with ships, but through data lines. Through machines." Darren remembered the strange messages, the missing files, the vanishing logs. "I've seen signs," he said. "I know," Mira said softly. "That's why I stayed near you. You had the tools, the network, and the heart." Darren felt a warmth in his chest. "Why didn't you tell me before?" "My memory was broken. When I escaped, I couldn't remember who I was. Only pieces. I stayed quiet until the danger grew stronger." She looked at him. "But now I remember everything." They walked deeper into the underground lab. The other pods still glowed. Inside each one, a person slept, faces calm. Peaceful. Mira stopped in front of one pod. "She was my sister," Mira said, her voice low. "She was the team leader. If she wakes, she'll know what to do." "Can we help her?" Darren asked. "We can try," Mira replied. "But we need power, real power." Darren pulled out a small device from his pocket. It connected him to his company's secure server. "My system is strong. I can bring energy from my main lab." "Not just energy," Mira said. "We need connection, access to the grid." Darren nodded. "I'll make it happen." The next day, Darren returned to Vale Tower and activated the Deep Link protocol. It was a hidden function, meant only for emergencies. It allowed him to reroute power, bypass firewalls, and connect to old city lines. He told no one. He stayed up all night, setting the systems in place. On the screen, he watched as energy flowed downward into the old lab beneath Zone 9. Back underground, Mira guided the power into the pods. Lights flashed. Liquid bubbled, and slowly, the others began to wake. 7 more opened their eyes. They stepped out, blinking. Confused but calm. Mira greeted each one by name. They spoke in a strange language at first, fast and soft, but then switched to English. Darren stood beside them. Amazed, one of the newly awakened, a tall man named Rem, looked at Darren and said, "So, this is the human who broke the lock." "He's more than that," Mira replied. Rem studied Darren. "You risked much." "Why?" "Because I trusted her," Darren said simply. Rem gave a small nod. Then you may help us." The awakened team began work at once. They set up scanners, data lines, and watched the city's digital map. The silent ones are inside. 5 major systems, Mira explained to Darren. They're not here to destroy with fire. They change minds, systems, ideas, mind control? Darren asked, not exactly. They infect systems first, then use machines to change people's thoughts slowly. Through ads, news, music, even dreams. Darren's eyes widened. That's already happening. I've seen strange code in city broadcasts. Things that don't belong. Mira nodded. That's them. He looked at the map. How do we stop it? Mira turned to him. We start from the inside. You own the tech. You can reach places we can't. With your help, we fight back. For the first time in his life, Darren wasn't just building machines. He was fighting. A silent war. His home lab became a command post. Mira and her team worked day and night, sending signals, breaking into infected systems, cleaning hidden threats. Darren used his company's satellites to scan deep networks. He created fake updates to erase the infection without being noticed. And slowly, things began to change. News broadcasts returned to normal. Dream ads vanished. City AI systems started reporting strange code, then cleared it on their own. The infection was being pushed back, but it wasn't over. Mira stood beside Darren one night, looking over the city. They know we're fighting now, she said. They will respond. I'm ready, Darren replied. Myra looked at him. I was made to protect this world, but I never thought I'd find someone like you. He smiled. And I never thought I'd fall for someone who appeared out of nowhere, fixed my machines, and vanished in the night. She laughed softly for a moment. The world felt calm, but the real battle was still ahead, and they would face it together. The underground lab buzzed with energy. Screens glowed. Machines hummed. Data flowed through silver wires like rivers of light. Darren stood beside Mira, watching as she and her team scanned the city's network for signs of the silent ones. They're not just inside systems, Mira said. They're trying to reach the human mind. Through music, screens, even emotions. Emotions? Darren asked. They twist what people feel. They send fear, anger, sadness. Small thoughts at first, but growing stronger with time. That's how they control. Darren looked down. Then we need to stop them before people forget how to think freely, Mira nodded. That's what we were made for. Darren studied her face. She still looked like the quiet girl he found on the steps, but now he saw more. He saw strength, knowledge, and something ancient behind her soft eyes. You never told me, he said. What exactly are you? Mira was silent for a moment. Then she walked to a nearby screen and tapped it. A series of images appeared: stars, DNA strands, spaceships, and strange machines. We are called Hyrians, she said. A mix of human DNA and something older, something from a far world that once passed near Earth. Long ago, humans made contact with that world. Quietly, secretly. Aliens? Darren asked. Not like the ones in movies, Mira said. They didn't come to fight. They came to warn. They told your ancestors about a danger, a species that travels through thoughts, systems, and energy. The silent ones, Darren said. Yes, the Hyrians were created as guardians. We don't age like normal humans. We can understand machines without teaching. We live quietly, watching, waiting. And now you're here. Yes, she said. Because they're here too. Later that night, Darren sat alone in the rooftop garden of Vale Tower. The wind was cold, but he didn't care. His mind was full. Mira wasn't just smart. She wasn't just different. She wasn't fully human, but somehow that didn't frighten him. In fact, it made sense. She had always felt like someone from a different world. He looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there was the other half of her. Origin. But she had chosen Earth. She had chosen to help him. He smiled. "I'm glad you sat on my steps that night," he whispered. Down in the lab, Mira's team made progress. They found that the Silent Ones had connected themselves to 5 major control centers in the city: communications, transport, weather, power, and media. They had spread their influence through updates and fake software. Mira pointed to the map. "If we remove them from all 5 points, we can weaken their hold. They'll have to leave or reveal themselves." "But that's risky," said Rem. "If we push too hard, they might strike back." Darren stepped forward. "Then let them. We'll be ready." The team looked at him. Mira gave a small smile. "He's right. This is our world. We defend it." They moved fast. Darren used his company's AI to shut down infected weather drones. Mira broke the code inside city screens. Rem and the others entered the digital traffic systems and cleared the virus hiding inside. It was like a silent war. No bullets, no explosions. Only signals, code, and light. Every time they removed a piece of the infection, the city changed slightly. Ads returned to normal. People smiled more. Fewer arguments were seen in the streets. It was as if the city was waking up from a deep sleep. But then something happened. The media center, one of the last control points, fought back. As soon as Mira entered the system, the screens all over Navarra Prime flashed white. A loud hum echoed across the city. Mira fell to her knees, holding her head. "They found me." Darren rushed to her side. "What's wrong?" "They're inside my mind," she whispered. "They're sending false thoughts, confusion, fear." He grabbed her hand. "Don't listen to them. You're stronger than they are." She closed her eyes and focused. The screens flickered. Then they shut off. Silence. Mira stood slowly, breathing hard. "They're angry now. We hurt them." Darren looked into her eyes. "Then we keep going." The final system was the power grid. Without power, the Silent Ones would lose their base, but the grid was deep locked under heavy protection. Darren looked at the others. "Let me go in first." Mira hesitated. "It's dangerous." He smiled. "I've built most of the systems. I know how they think." She touched his shoulder. "Be careful." He nodded and entered the control room. Inside, Darren found a strange new layer of code. It wasn't human. It moved like smoke, shifting, hiding, changing. As he tried to delete it, the lights dimmed. His screen turned black. A soft voice came through the speakers. "Leave or forget." He froze. The voice repeated, "Leave or forget who you are." He stared at the screen. "I won't run," he said. "You don't belong here." Suddenly, the screen showed Mira's face, but twisted, not real. "She will leave you," the voice said. "She is not like you." "She is more human than you'll ever be," Darren replied. He reached into the code and pressed the final command, "Reset." The system screamed. Lights burst. Then silence. He had done it. The grid was free. Back in the lab, Mira opened her eyes. "They're gone," she said softly. Her team smiled. Rem nodded. "For now." Darren stepped into the room, covered in dust but smiling. "You did it," Mira said. "We did it," he replied. They stood quietly for a moment. The world above had changed. The city was safe. People were free again. And Darren had helped make it happen, not with money, but with belief and courage. Mira looked at him with something soft in her eyes. "You were never just a tech genius," she said. "And you were never just a girl on the steps," he replied. They smiled, side by side, human and Hirian, ready for whatever came next. The city of Navarra Prime began to breathe again. After weeks of quiet attacks from the Silent Ones, the people finally smiled more. Music on the streets no longer had strange tones. News felt real again. Ads showed joy instead of fear. But Mira knew this peace was only the beginning. "They are not finished," she told Darren one morning. "They've lost control, but they are watching." Waiting for a weak spot. Darren nodded. Let them watch, we're ready. In the underground lab, Mira and her team worked faster than ever. The infected systems were healing, but new signals were starting to appear this time from outside the city. Ren tapped on a screen. This came from Sector 12, a strange signal, not local. Not even from Earth, Mira leaned in. The pattern was familiar. It's them, she said. A deeper part of their kind. They're calling for reinforcements. Darren frowned. So, the real war is just starting. That day, Mira decided to take the next step. She would speak to the world. People must know the truth, she said. No more hiding. Darren arranged a private broadcast one only the top world leaders, scientists, and trusted groups could see. The feed was sent through a clean line, untouched by any outside code. Mira stood in front of the camera, calm but strong. My name is Mira, she said. I was made not in one world, but from the joining of two. I am part of a line that was built to protect Earth, not from ships or armies, but from minds that hide inside light and sound. She spoke of the silent ones, the secret infection, the truth behind strange tech signals. Darren stood behind the camera, watching her. She spoke clearly, without fear. After her message ended, silence filled the room. Then slowly, one by one, replies came in. World leaders sent short notes. We believe. What can we do? Tell us how to help. The world began to change faster. Darren's company launched new software, designed by Mira's team, that scanned every system for hidden code. Drones flew across cities, cleaning signals and deleting false programs. Mira helped train team scientists, coders, and thinkers on how to detect silent infections. They worked together, day and night. Some people didn't believe it at first. They said it was a hoax. But once they saw their own machines acting strange, once they saw how Mira could fix them with a single touch, they changed their minds. And through it all, Darren stayed by her side. One night, Mira and Darren stood on a rooftop overlooking the city. The sky looks clearer, Darren said. It is, Mira replied. Their touch on this world is weaker now. He looked at her. You've changed everything, not just the city but me too. She smiled softly. You believed in me when I was no one. When I had no past, no memory, you gave me time. And kindness. You gave me purpose, he said. They looked at each other quietly. Then Mira's expression changed. She closed her eyes and placed her hand on her temple. What is it? Darren asked. A message, she said. From the original core. What's the original core? It's the oldest part of the Hirian system, hidden deep in Earth's crust. If it's waking up, it means something important is coming. Should we go there? She opened her eyes. Yes, now. They traveled quickly, using a high-speed air transport built by Darren's engineers. They flew past glowing mountains, silent lakes, and deep forests. Finally, they reached a hidden cave in the north, a place untouched by time. Inside the cave, old stone walls glowed faintly with silver lines. It was not human work. Mira placed her hand on the wall. It opened with a soft hum. They walked inside. A giant sphere floated in the center of the chamber. It pulsed slowly, as if alive. Mira stepped forward. This is where it began, where we were first created, the place where Earth met the stars. Darren looked around, amazed. Mira closed her eyes and touched the sphere. For a moment, everything went silent. Then a soft light filled the room. A message played in a language Darren didn't know. Mira translated. The gate is opening. The outer mind has seen Earth. The guardians must rise. What gate? Darren asked. Their true entrance. We were only fighting shadows. Now the real ones are coming. Back at Vale Tower, the team prepared for the next step. The silent ones were no longer hiding. They had started to speak through machines, even in public systems. Voices echoed from broken speakers. Strange patterns appeared in city lights. But now Earth was ready. Mira activated the Guardian Protocol. All the Hyrians across the world, those still sleeping, began to wake. Dozens, hundreds, hidden under cities, deserts, and oceans. They rose, calm and silent, and joined the defense. Human scientists stood beside them. Engineers, thinkers, creators, all working as one. Mira turned to Darren. This is the beginning of the real fight. But we're not alone, he smiled. We never were. As the gate in the sky began to open, a soft storm of energy formed above Earth. The stars dimmed for a moment. The wind grew still, and then light, bright, powerful, and strange. But Earth did not fear. Because now it had guardians, and it had people like Darren who never gave up, who believed in someone sitting on the steps, even when the world didn't understand her. Together they stood strong. Side by side, human and Hyrian, ready for whatever came through the stars. The skies above Earth had changed. A great silver ring floated above the atmosphere, glowing faintly. It was the gate. A portal to a far side of the galaxy, a place no human had ever seen. The gate wasn't just open, it was watching. Something beyond it had awakened. But Earth was not the same weak world it once was. Now it stood prepared, with new knowledge, brave people, and powerful allies. At the heart of it all stood Mira and Darren. News of the gate spread across the world. People gathered in parks, on rooftops, and in open streets just to watch it. Children asked, "Are they coming?" And parents answered, "Yes, but we are ready now." In Navarra Prime, Mira walked through the central square, where once she sat, alone in the rain. Now hundreds gathered to see her. People cheered, not because she was famous, but because she had protected them. She did not smile much, but her calm face gave people comfort. They trusted her. Beside her walked Darren. He no longer wore expensive suits or carried bodyguards. His clothes were simple now, his mind sharper, his heart full. They stopped at the new Guardian Tower, a place where humans and Hyrians now worked together. Engineers, doctors, scientists, and thinkers from every part of the world joined hands. Inside the tower, a new AI called Elia had been born, half built by humans, half by Hyrian tech. It was the first of its kind. Elia spoke in a warm, human voice. The gate is stable, no threat yet, but activity is rising. Do you wish to begin the next step? Mira looked at Darren. He nodded. Yes, she said. Activate the beacon. High above the Earth, a pulse of white light burst into the sky. The beacon was not a weapon. It was a signal, a message. This world is not alone. This world is not afraid. If you come in peace, speak. If you come in harm, know we will protect what is ours. Then they waited. For a full day, there was silence. The gate pulsed but stayed still. Then on the second night, a message came through. It was not sound or words, but a wave of thought sent across stars. Mira felt it first. She closed her eyes. They are curious, she said. They thought we were weak, now they are unsure. Darren stood beside her. Then we keep showing them what humanity can do. Over the next weeks, Earth transformed. New power grids were built. Energy from stars and deep cores fueled cities. Water systems cleaned themselves. Farms grew more food than ever. The sick were healed faster. Diseases stopped spreading. All this was made possible by Hyrian knowledge shared freely with humans. But only because humans had earned trust. Not with force, but with kindness. Mira often said, "You saved me with a simple act. You gave a stranger food, warmth, and safety." That one action changed everything. People listened, and they copied it. Even leaders became more thoughtful. Countries shared resources. The change was not perfect. Not everyone agreed. But most people saw what Earth could become, and they worked for it. One day, Mira stood at the edge of a cliff with Darren. Below them stretched a massive field of new solar trees, tall white towers that drank sunlight and sang soft tones in the wind. Children played nearby. Robots watched them gently. Mira held a small device in her hand. It was shaped like a stone but glowed softly. "What's that?" Darren asked. "A key," she said. "To the next world." He looked at her. "Do you want to go?" She shook her head. "Not alone," he smiled. "Then we go together." A great ship was prepared in orbit. It was called the Dawn Stepper. It could fly through the gate, reach new stars, and return safely. A joint team of Hyrians and humans were ready to explore. Mira was chosen as the lead guide. Before they left, Earth held a celebration. In a bright open square, under starlight, people stood and clapped. Darren and Mira walked side by side, hand in hand. Not as billionaire and stranger. Not as savior and warrior. But simply as two people who had believed in each other when no one else did. A news reporter spoke on screen. "She once sat alone outside Vale Tower. Now she walks into the stars. And the man who gave her kindness walks beside her still." As the ship rose into the sky, Mira looked back at Earth. "It's beautiful," she said. Darren smiled. "So are you." She didn't blush. She didn't laugh. She just held his hand tighter. And together, they crossed through the gate. To new stars. To new stories. But always, in every memory, people remembered how it began. With a young, beautiful woman sitting in the rain and a kind heart who didn't walk past.